Namaskar everybody and welcome to the Navratri Satsang. So today we are on day 4. Let us start with the Prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Sri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Navratri Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the teachings from the lives of our great Acharyas to progress on the path of our sadhana. Let us chant the Guru Parampara. Lakshmi Natha Samarambham Nathayamuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Bhutam Sarascha Mahadahaya Vattanatha Shri Bhakti Sara Kulashekara Yogi Vahan Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimat Parankushamunim Pranatosmi Nityam. Let us offer obeisance at the feet of Swami Ramanuja. Yo Nityamachyuta Padambuja Yukma Rukma व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये. So with prayers at the lotus feet of all the acharyas, we'll continue with our topic for today. So today we are going to discuss about the acharyas who came after Swami Ramanuja in the lineage, in the parampara. His name, he was known as Embar. So let us offer our obeisance to him. Ramanuja Padachaya Govindahvanapayini Tadayatta Swarupasa Jiyan Madvishramastali. So here, this Embar, he had a name, he was previously known as Govinda Bhattar. So this is a shloka which offers a salutation to him. This Govinda Bhattar, who is inseparable from Sri Ramanuja, like the shadow of the lotus feet. Ramanuja Pada Chaya. So Pada is feet and Chaya is the shadow. So he is inseparable from Sri Ramanuja, like the shadow of the lotus feet, and the one who realized his true nature by taking refuge at Sri Ramanuja's lotus feet. This Govinda Bhattar is the shade giving abode for me. He is the one who can relieve me from my miseries. So, as we can understand, he was previously, when he was named by his parents as Govind Bhattar. He was born in Madhurangalam in the year 1026. He was about 4 years younger to Swami Ramanuja. And he is actually the cousin of Ramanuja. Ramanujacharya's mother and Govinda Bhattar's mother were own sisters. And their mama, for both of them, their mother's brother was a person called Periya Tirumala Nambi. Tirumalai Nambi. So what happens is that we must not get confused between this person who is Tirumalai Nambi. He was also called as Periya Tirumalai Nambi. And Periya Nambi, whom we saw yesterday. So when the word Tirumalai appears in that name before Nambi, then it means that it is referring to this person, this Acharya, who was one of the Acharyas of Ramanuja. He was also the maternal uncle of Swami Ramanuja. Now this Govinda Bhattar is considered as an Amsha of Garuda. He is considered an Amshavatara of Garuda. When he was born, he was named Govinda Bhattar. Later, he came to be known as Embar. Ramanuja himself gave him that name. And he was also called as Ramanuja Padachaya because he was so totally devoted to the lotus feet of Swami Ramanuja. And his Acharya, Govinda Bhattar's Acharya's name is Periya Tirumalai Nambi. Now, I said that this Govinda Bhattar was born in Madhuramangalam and Swami Ramanuja was near Kanchipur. So this Govinda Bhattar, after he also became old enough to start his studies, we know that Swami Ramanuja was under the tutelage of a person, a Advaiti scholar called as Yadava Prakasha. So what happened is Govinda also came to study with his cousin only, with Ramanuja. They were very close. They were by nature also, they were very similar, and both of them were cousins. So they were very close and they studied, they stayed together, they studied with Yadava Prakasha. Now, what happened is there were a lot of instances, as I have mentioned before in some other satsang, there were a lot of instances when Swami Ramanuja used to give his own interpretations, which were very much opposing those of Yadava Prakasha, because Yadava Prakasha belonged to the Advaitic school, and it was not just about the philosophy, but the interpretation and the bhava with which Ramanuja looked at things and with which Yadav Prakasha was seeing things were totally different. So, besides this, what happened is that there were incidents where, like, there was the king, and he had a daughter, and she was possessed by an evil spirit. So then they said, somebody told them that this Yadava Prakasha is a great acharya, so you call him, he will be able to drive away that evil spirit. So he went along with his other shishyas, and in that group of other shishyas, Ramanuja also went along with him. At that time, that spirit who had possessed that Rajkumari, that spirit started talking and started laughing at Yadav Prakasha. Who are you? What is your capability? You are nothing. You cannot drive me away. I will not go at your bidding. So then they asked, then whom will you listen to? By whose instructions will you go away? He said, that spirit said that in among these disciples of Yadav Prakasha, there is this person, see, and that time his name was not yet Ramanuja, right? He was called as Ilaya Alvar. So I will go when this person, he meant Ramanuja, when this person tells me he is the one who is really having the capability. When he tells, I will go away. And like that, through the words and the instructions of Ramanuja, that spirit went away. So this also was a big shock, and Yadav Prakasha felt very insulted. So he came to know, he realized that, okay, this Ramanuja is going to eclipse me. And soon he will be posing a danger to my philosophy, to my sway on these other Shishyas. And he was very threatened by the presence of Ramanuja. So what they did was they hatched an evil plan. He got together with his other Shishyas who were, very close to him. And they hatched a plan that they want to do away with Ramanuja. They want to kill Ramanuja. Then how can you do it? Because if you kill somebody, then there will be papa attached to that, isn't it? So they made a very grandiose plan. What they said is, let us do one thing. Let us go for Kashi Yatra. Let us go to say that we are going on a pilgrimage, and let us go to Kashi. And there in the Ganga river, when we are bathing, let us just push Ramanuja away into the water and drown him there. So what will happen? If you drown somebody in Ganga river, then that person will not die an evil death, right? He will also get moksha. And we will also not get papa of having killed him, because when you take bath in the Ganga, then all your papas are resolved. So this was the Vichitra kind of plan that they came up with. Of course, the logic is flawed, but this just shows us how every time when we want to, we can use things which are told in Shastra, we can twist them and contort them and use them to fit our meaning when we want to. But we must not do that. So anyway, this was a plan they hatched. So all the disciples and Yadav Prakasha started out on that journey, on the pilgrimage. Now, as they were walking and going, somewhere some Shishyas started discussing something. And Govinda heard that. So he came to know that this is their evil plan. So in the middle of the night, when they had gone to attend nature's call, he called out to Ramanuja and he warned him that, see, this is what is their evil plan, and you must go away from here. If you happen to reach Kashi, then your fate is sealed. They will kill you. So you must go away. Ramanuja said, no, okay, whatever it is, let them do. I am not afraid. He said, no, not only that you are not afraid, but just imagine, by killing you, our Acharya, our teacher will get so much papa. You must save him from that also. That was also the compassion of this Govinda. So he convinced Ramanuja, and Ramanuja, in the middle of the night itself, he walked away from that group. Everybody else was sleeping. So he went away and he got lost in that forest. Now, of course, what happened later is that when Ramanuja wandered away from this group, there was one hunter couple who came there, and they asked him that, who are you? Where are you? Why are you here? And by this time, they were somewhere in the middle of, their journey. So maybe the middle part of India, somewhere they were. So then he said, no, I am from Kanchipuram and I want to go back there and I've lost my way. So that hunter couple said, come, we will take you and go. And they took him along. Next morning, when Ramanuja woke up, he saw that this couple had wandered away. They were not to be seen anywhere. They had disappeared. And he saw some other people roaming around that place in that forest, and he asked them that, what is this place? Where is it? How do I go to Kanchipuram? So they said, why are you so confused? Look there, see that Gopuram? That is only Kanchipuram. So it's unimaginable that within one night he would have traveled from that so far away to Kanchipuram. And then he realized that who was that hunter couple who came? They were nothing, no, nobody else other than Varadaraja Perumal of Kanchipuram and Perundevi Tayar, that Devi. So they had brought him back. So Ramanuja found his way back. He came there, he started doing all seva to the Lord, he found his acharyas, and that part of his story continued, right? Now he grew in stature and he became the acharya. But on the other hand, what happened to Govinda then? Now, when that group had continued forward to Kashi, then Govinda had continued along with them. And the next morning, when everybody woke up and they said, where is Ramanuja? Where is Ramanuja? So Govinda also pretended that he doesn't know where he is. So he said, I don't know. I was sleeping here only. He was next to me only. I don't know, but he's not there now. So they thought that, okay, he's gone into the forest and some wild animal has eaten him. And they all felt very happy that, okay, good. God only did whatever we wanted to do. Because they didn't realize that he has gone back and he's reached Kanchipuram. They thought some wild animal has killed him and eaten him. And they were happy. Anyway, he's no longer going to be a problem for us, they thought. So that group went with their plan, they went to Kashi. Now, there, while having bath in the Ganga river, when this Govinda took a dip in the river and he was offering Argya, at that time, when he lifted his hands out of the water of the Ganga, he suddenly found that in his palms there was a linga that appeared. So he asked his Acharya, he asked Yadava Prakasha, that, see, Guru, what is this? I've got this linga in my hand. So Yadav Prakasha told him, you remember, he was an Advaiti, right? So he wanted this Govinda also to get into that direction. So he told him, see, that when you are bathing in the Ganga, the linga has come by itself into your hand. So this is an indication that Lord Shiva wants you to be worshipping him. So you take this back with you and you start worshipping Shiva. So then what happened after that entire group came back? They came back to Kanchipuram and then they came to know that Ramanuja is alive, of course. But this Govinda went back to his original place, which was Madhuramangalam. There in Madhuramangala, he installed this linga and he was regularly performing very diligently. He was worshipping that linga. After some time in a dream, he got some divine summons and he felt that Lord Shiva is telling him that I am there in the form of Kalahastishvara in Sri Kalahasti. You come there and you serve me there. So based on that dream, he went away to Kalahasti. So there was absolutely no contact now between Govinda and Ramanuja. Ramanuja knew all these events, what happened. He realized how Govinda had gone on the other path and now he was at Kalahasti. So there at Sri Kalahasti, this Govinda became very important. He was considered the foremost among all of them. In fact, in that Shaiva Parampara, right, in those, I think they call them Nayanmars or something, in their list of gurus and all who come, his name appears there also because he was considered one of the foremost because he was such a pious person, so diligently he was doing worship. So he was there. Now what happened is as Ramanuja grew in stature and he realized that, okay, I need somebody who is very good and who is a good disciple, someone who is going to lead this sampradaya forward after my time. And he always kept remembering this Govinda. And he thought I should get him back into the fold. So what he did was he spoke to Periya Tirumalai Nambi, who is the mama for both of them, for both Ramanuja and Govinda. Now this Tirumalai Nambi was in Tirumala. He was doing service there to the Lord Venkateshwara. And he was told, like Ramanuja requested him that please do something, please see that you get this Govinda back into our Sampradaya like that. So when Tirumalai Nambi got this news, he said, yes, definitely I will look into that. I will do that. So he went 3 or 4 times. He went to the place where this Govinda was. He went to Kalahasti. And he went with his Shishyas. First time when he went, he tried to talk to Govinda, but Govinda refused to even listen to him. So he came back to Tirumalai. Then next, after some months, after some time, again he went once more. That time he knew that this Govinda, to worship the Lord, to collect the flowers and all, he goes to in some particular path. So Tirumalai Nambi sat with his Shishyas in that path under one tree on that road, and he was discussing and explaining whatever are the Alvar's teachings to his Shishyas. So as he was doing this, this Govinda passed that way and he heard some few things. And he felt kind of strangely agitated like that. What is this they are telling? It is so different. These concepts are so different from what I have been told in this Advaitic path. And he was a little bit disturbed. But then he said, no, let me not bother about it. And he continued with his work. Tirumalai Nambi understood that some churning has started, but he didn't want to press on that at that point of time. So he went back to Tirumalai with his Shishyas. After some months, again he came. And this time, what he did was he went very close. He sat under the tree. There was a tree where there were particular flowers which were being, used to worship Shiva. So under that tree, he knew that Govinda comes to pluck flowers from that tree. So he sat under that tree, and then very purposefully he started explaining one particular shloka from the works of Alvar. In that part, the Alvar is saying, he's explaining how it was Lord Narayana, it was Sriman Narayana who created Brahma, and then Brahma created all the other devatas. So, is it right to offer flowers of worship to all those devatas when we can offer it to Sriman Narayana himself? Like this. That was the shloka, and that was the thing which he was explaining to his Shishyas. Now, this Govinda came, and right at that time, he had climbed up the tree and he was plucking the flowers for worship. The minute he heard this, already that churning process had started, right? And the minute he heard this, he had a sudden transformation. And he threw down that basket of flowers. He came rushing down from the tree and he fell at the feet of Tirumalai Nambi. And he said, please forgive me. I have done such a wrong thing. I have gone on the wrong path. I should have been on the right path from before. Please forgive me. There is so much time I have wasted now. Please take me back with you. Please take me back and let me also be with you, Sri Vaishnavas. So with that bhava, he surrendered. And he said, I am ready. Come, let us go. I will come with you to Tirumalai. As they started walking, there were all the other Shaivas in that area, isn't it? And this Govinda was the leader for all of them. So they all came there and they said, no, 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 you can't take him away. So Tirumalai Nambi said, I am not taking him away. I am going. I am not forcing him to come with me. I am going on my path. If he has decided to follow me, who am I to stop him from following me? That is what is my attitude, he said. Now, at that point of time, when it was appearing as if there will be a very big, fight that will erupt between the two groups, at that time, one very elderly person among those Shaivas came and said, he told, see, wait a minute. This is all divinely ordained. I got a dream last night in which I saw that Shiva was telling me that this person, this Govinda, is actually meant to be worshipper of Lord Narayana only. It was due to some previous accounts that had to be settled that, and actually what would have happened is if he, in that Kashi itself, right, if this Govinda had not done all this, he would have gone on some other totally wrong path. That is why what I did was I made him find that linga so that he came towards me, and then the next logical step for him would be to move along back towards the Sri Vaishnavas. So this is all my Leela, and you have to let him go. Don't try to stop him. I got this dream, said that great Shaiva, person. So then there was another person who stood up in that assembly and said, it is so strange. Even I got the same dream. Like that, some 2, 3 very pious elderly people, they all said that they all had got the same dream. So they realized that yes, Shiva is trying to convey a message to all of us. So we will let Govinda go. And they allowed Govinda to go with Tirumalai Nambi. So that was how it happened, and he was back into the Sampradaya. Now what happened is, after some time of this, Ramanuja came to Tirumala, and there he came to learn, to understand, to study the Ramayana under Tirumalai Nambi. Tirumalai Nambi was an expert in Ramayana, study. So Ramanuja came there to study Ramayana under his mama. So when he came there and he finished and everything went well and the course of study was completed, then Tirumalai Nambi was very happy. He said, see, I am very happy that you, Ramanuja, have studied very well. And as a gift of my joy, as a gesture of my joy at you having learned so well, I want to give you some gift. Normally, it is a Shishya who gives Guru Dakshina to the Guru, isn't it? But see here, this is the reverse kind of condition. Even Tirumalai Nambi was a great soul, a very humble person, although he was he had such a high position. He was one of the acharyas to Ramanuja, and yet he was so humble. If possible, some other day we will talk about him because there are many events about him also. Anyway, for now, let us take this. So he said to Ramanuja that I want to give you something. So Ramanuja said, you remember what was the original intention of Ramanuja, right? So he had thought that Govinda will be a worthy successor to me. So at this time, when Tirumala Namri said, ask for anything, but I don't have anything much in worldly terms to give you. Then immediately Ramanuja said, please give me Govinda. Let me take Govinda with me. So willingly, the Guru gave Govinda away. But Govinda was very attached to his Guru, isn't it? So he went with Ramanuja, but when they passed and they reached a few kilometers away and all that, he was very sad. And Ramanuja was observing that. So then he asked him, what happened, Govinda? Why are you looking so sad? So he said, no, I can't bear this separation from Tirumale Nambi. I need to go back to my Acharya. So Ramanuja realized what is going to happen if he goes back. So confidently he said, okay, fine, no problem. You go back. Go back to your Acharya. And he let him go. When Govinda went there and knocked at the door of Tirumale Nambi, Tirumale Nambi refused to open the door. His wife, she was feeling bad. She said, he is poor, the boy has come back, let us take him back. He said, no, wait, you don't go and open the door. I am telling you, and I have a reason for it. Don't go and open the door. You should not come back. And then Govinda understood. Then he called out from the other side only. He called out that, okay, Acharya, I understand now. I am going back. So Tirumale Nambi told him, see, a cow or any other vastu which has been once given away to somebody in dana should not be taken back. Even Tirumale Nambi knew that Govinda is going to be important to be the successor for Ramanuja. So he sent him away without accepting him back. And then once Govinda came to Swami Ramanuja, he put all his heart and soul. We said, isn't it, that he was called Ramanuja Padachaya. So he became so united in mood with his guru, with Acharya, who is now Ramanuja. So he became very attached to Ramanuja and he kept performing all actions in keeping with the wishes of Ramanuja. Ramanuja was so happy at this bhava, at this, quality that Govinda had, that he gave him a new name. Now it is told in the Sampradaya that Ramanujar was given this name as Emberumanar. Actually, in the Vaishnava Sampradaya, when we say in Tamil, when they say Emperuman, Emperuman means Lord, Paramatma, Sriman Narayana. Now, you remember from the life of Swami Ramanuja, we have talked about this in previous satsang somewhere, how when Ramanuja wanted to learn the rahasya of a very secret mantra, he went to this guru, the acharya called Tirukoshtiyur Nambi, who said, I will teach you after making him come 18 times. Then only finally he gave him that mantra. And he said, you should not tell this to anybody or you will go to hell. But Ramanuja was so full of compassion for everybody that he called all the other people and he said, come, whoever is wanting to learn this, if you have asakti in this, come here, I will teach you how to go to moksha. And he taught them the path. He said, this is what we have to do. And when that Tirukoshtiyur Nambi heard of that, he was very angry. He said, he called Ramanuja and he scolded him like anything and said, what is this nonsense? I had warned you not to reveal that mantra to anybody. And for this, now you are going to go to Naraka. You will definitely go to hell. And Ramanuja said, if by one me going to hell, all the others can have Uddhara and can go to Moksha, I don't mind that. I'm ready to bear hell if others will be benefited. And that Tirukoshtiyur Nambi was so taken away, he was so carried away, and he was so overcome with emotion at seeing the compassion of Ramanuja that he gave him this name as Emberumanar. That means somebody who is even above Emperuman, somebody who is even beyond the Lord in his compassion for other people. So now what Ramanuja did is, he saw this nishtha that Govinda Bhattar had, and seeing that dedication of Govinda, he gave a new name. He took the first part of his name and the last part of his name. So here I've highlighted it, if you can see in red, Emberumanar. This is the entire name of Ramanuja. So in that, the first part, the EMB, he took Emb, and AR, the last part, R. So he gave him the new name as Embar. And ever since then, Govinda Bhattar started being called as Embar. He was called as Embar Swami, Embar Acharya, like that. Now, what happened later is that you remember on the first day of Navratri, we talked about Puratalvan. And there was one strangely contradictory thing that I had told that day, but I had not elaborated on that because we ran out of time. You remember I had told in the beginning of that satsang about how this Kuratalvan got married to that Andal, to that lady. And it was on the condition that he will not have any Deha Sambandha with her, because her horoscope said that somebody who is consummating the marriage with her will die. So he said that the purpose of marriage is to seek the Lord. So I only want her as my Dharma Patni for the purpose of fulfilling the duties of Grihastha. And I don't want to have any enjoyment with her, right? Now, if you consider that, and then I had said also, I had mentioned while giving the details that this Kuratalvan had two sons called Vedavyasa Bhattar and Parashara Bhattar. Now, isn't it contradictory when he has said that he's not going to have their sambandha with his wife? How did he get those sons, right? So actually, there's a very nice story behind that also. They were living their pious life without any physical sambandha. They were continuing to serve the Lord and they were living in Sri Rangam. One day, what happened was every day, even Kuratalvan was living by the act of Unchavritti. So he would go out, beg for the alms for that day, and come back. And that they would survive on for that day. Now, one day, what happened is there was large amount of rain. It kept raining very fiercely the whole day, and then it was not possible for him to go for Unchavritti because it was raining so heavily. So they were hungry the whole day, and they were about to go to sleep. At that time, his wife, that Pativrata lady, that pious lady, she thought in her mind and she prayed to Lord Ranganatha of Sri Rangam. She said, "What is this, Lord? For you, although it is raining or whatever it is, for you, they have been giving you prasada from time to time, as per the Shastras. But see, this great bhakta of yours, this husband of mine, he is having to go to sleep empty stomach. Is that fair on your part?" She asked like that to the Lord in her mind. Within a short time of that, there was one Archaka who came from the temple with one vessel. And he said, "This is prasada which Lord Ranganatha has told should be taken by both of you." So, because it came from the Lord, this Kuratalvan took little of the prasada, 2 servings, and his wife also took little bit. And then he said, "No, you go and distribute to the other people. This is enough for us." And then he turned to his wife and he asked, "How is it that the prasada came now at this moment? Did you complain to the Lord?" He asked. And she narrated what had happened. So he said, "It is not correct on our part to ask the Lord for all such worldly things. What would have happened if we had gone hungry one night? There was no problem at all. You should not do such things," he told her. But as a result of having consumed that prasada, that 2 handfuls of or 2 servings of that prasada of the Lord, she gave birth to 2 sons. And those 2 sons were named by Swami Ramanuja as Parashara Bhatta and Vedavyasa Bhatta. And this naming of those children also was in accordance with the wishes of his guru, whom he considered the guru, but whom he could not meet in life actually, Yamunacharya. So Yamunacharya had had a wish that he wanted to offer homage to these 2 great rishis, Vedavyasa and Parashara Muni, because Vedavyasa is the one who composed the Bhagavatam, the Mahabharata, and all such so many great texts. And Parashara Muni is the one who is the composer of the Vishnu Purana. So there was lot of respect that Yamunacharya had for those 2 acharyas, and he wanted some homage to be paid to them. But he passed before he could do anything about that. And in accordance with his wishes, Ramanuja had said that I will do it on your behalf. And by naming these 2 children on the names of those great munis, he fulfilled that wish of his acharya. Now, what happened is when Ramanuja was there in Srirangam and these 2 kids were there, Ramanuja wanted to meet them. He wanted to see them. So he sent this Embar. He said, go to Kuratalvan's house and bring those 2 kids. Bring them here. I want to have a look at them. Embar went there. And the minute he saw those children, they were so full of tejas, they were so radiant that he felt very happy looking at them. And as he was about to step out of the house, he suddenly got worried. He said, "What is going to happen if somebody puts drishti on these kids? There should be no danger that comes to these children. They are so tejasvi. They should be protected." And in his mind, praying to the Lord to please protect these children, he recited mentally what is called as the Dvaya mantra. It is a particular mantra which is used for initiating people into the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. It is the mantra of Sriman Narayana, and it's a very strong and powerful mantra. So he recited that, and he brought them. The minute they came in front of Ramanuja, Ramanuja looked at those children. He said, I can see that these kids have already been given Diksha. Did you do something? He asked Embar. So Embar said, yes, I thought in my mind that I wanted to protect them from any evil eye and all that. So I recited Dvaya Mantra. So Ramanuja said, you are the right person to be their Acharya. You will perform their initiation when the time comes. And that is how those two children were under the tutelage of Embar. He was their Acharya. So we will talk about one of them in tomorrow's satsang, Parashara Bhattar, who is very famous. Now, we are coming towards the end of our time. So we will take some important qualities of Embar Swami. He had so much compassion. He had too much compassion on everybody. And actually, just 1 minute, please. Yeah. So there was one time when Ramanuja was walking by and he saw this Embar. He had held a snake in his hand and he was putting his hand into the mouth of the snake. He asked him, what is this? What is this you are doing? How can you put your hand into the snake's mouth? What if it bites you? It will be poisonous. So he said, just wait a minute. And he didn't do anything. He didn't talk first. Then, after he had finished some work, he took away his hand. He let the snake go away. And then he turned to Ramanuja and he said, see, actually, there was a thorn which got stuck in the tongue of this snake. And poor thing, it was in pain. I could make out that. So I removed that thorn from that snake's tongue. Ramanuja was shocked. He said, can somebody be so compassionate? You are not worried that the snake will bite you. And people around there started saying, what if the snake had bitten you? Why you did such a risky thing? So he said, see, if the snake had bitten, it is the nature of the snake to bite. So we must not feel bad about that. Just because it may bite, how can I bear to see that suffering in pain like that poor creature? That is why I did what I did. So such was his compassion. Another time, what happened is many of these his shishyas came and complained that we saw this Embar in front of the house of a Veshya, a prostitute. And this Embar was known for being totally full of Vairagya. We will talk about that incident in a while. So then they told, so Ramanuja questioned him that, is it true that you were there? He said, yes, I was there. Then he said, what is it that you were doing there? So he told that actually, when I had passed by that road, on previous occasions, I had heard that lady singing some song as a lullaby. So what I did was, I was feeling bad that why is she singing something like this? I went there and I taught her a song in praise of you, Acharya, and the Lord. And I had taught her that. So then, after teaching her that, the next day I stood outside to see and listen if she's saying it correctly. How much compassion somebody has, that you are willing to be blamed by other people and misunderstood by other people, but you will do what you think is the right thing in the sincerity towards your guru, right? Then there was one time when Swami Ramanuja had seen him in Tirumala, that this Govinda prepared the bed for his guru, and then instead of coming away from there, he was lying in that bed. Now that is considered aparadha. How can you lie in the bed which you have prepared for your guru to sleep in? So he called him and he was shocked. What is this you are doing? He said, you will go to Naraka for doing something like this aparadha. So he said, no problem if I go to Naraka. I am worried that there should not be a thorn or something else, something which will poke the Acharya and cause him pain. So I am just lying in that bed to make sure that there is no such damage caused to my Acharya. Isn't it very similar? You remember we said that Ramanuja and Govinda were very similar. Ramanuja was willing to bear Naraka if everybody else can go to Moksha. This Govinda was willing to bear Naraka just to make sure that his Acharya doesn't have to suffer. That was the greatness of this Govinda. And one time somebody started praising Govinda and this Embar. And when he was listening to them, he kept nodding his head and he kept saying, yes, yes, that is true, that is true. So Ramanuja was watching that and he was very shocked. He said, what is this Govinda? How can you be like this? That we should always have Nicha Bhava. We should always be humble. We should always say that we are nothing and it is God who is everything and we are nothing. We are Nichas. How can you keep accepting when they are praising you? How are you saying that, yeah, correct what you're telling? So Govinda explained. He said, Swami, actually, in my mind, my bhava is whatever they are praising about me, it is actually praise of you because I am nothing. So if they are praising me, then whatever I am is because of your what you have given me. So when they are praising me, I am seeing that as praise of you only. And that is why I was agreeing with them that yes, because whatever they are telling is very true for you, my Acharya. I don't think that it is for me, but it is for you. This was the bhava of Ember. And because we have very less time, I will take this last part. He was always this quality that he had. Paramatmani raktaha, aparamatmani viraktaha. Paramatmani raktaha, somebody who is having rati, somebody who is having engrossed always in Paramatma. And whatever is other than Paramatma, aparamatmani viraktaha. He had absolutely no attachment to that. Now, to illustrate this, there is a story which is told. Now, what happened is after Govinda was brought by Ramanuja, Govinda's mother, she had a great desire that he should enter Grihastha life. So she forced Ramanuja and she said, please, she was after all his aunt. So she told him, please make this boy get married. I want to see him in Grihastha life. I want him to be taken care of and like that. So Ramanuja said, okay, just to fulfill her wish, he said he knew Govinda is not interested in all these things, but he agreed and they performed the marriage of Govinda. Then, once you have got married to somebody, then you are expected to fulfill your duties as a grihastha. So, this mother kept insisting that why are you not consummating the marriage? Why are you not consummating the marriage? So he told, then he was not listening. So she told Ramanuja, and Ramanuja told him, see Govinda, now tonight you should go and be in Ekanta with your wife. This is my instruction. You consider it my instruction and you have to follow me. So he said, okay. And that night, the wife and Govinda were left together alone in the room. Then that next morning, there was some sound which they could hear of somebody talking and all that, but okay, people ignored. Then after some time, the next day morning, when Govinda came to Ramanuja, Ramanuja asked him, so did you spend time with your wife in Ekanta? He said, what Ekanta? Ramanuja said, you were alone with your wife, isn't it? Shouldn't you have done whatever is expected of you in Ekanta? He said, what Ekanta? Everywhere I was seeing the Antaryami Narayana. Narayana is Antaryami to me. He is within me. He is within my wife. He is within everything in that room. Where is the Ekanta? What will I do in Ekanta? How can I have Ekanta in that place? So Ramanuja asked him, then what did you do the entire night? So he said, no, I was telling my wife about the glories of the Lord and your glories. And that is how I spent the night. Listening to this, Ramanuja understood that Govinda is not fit for a householder's wife. So he convinced that mother and he initiated this Govinda into sannyasa. And that is how he lived his entire life, being Ramanuja Padachaya. And many times he would get, ideas which nobody else would get because he was so steeped in bhakti of the Lord and in Acharya bhakti. Because of that, he used to give very wonderful expressions to the Alvar's words. Like, for example, there is one activity where they enact the Pashurams, the shlokas which are told by the Alvars. So there is one place where there is reference made to how Lord Krishna used to scare his friends. So when that was being enacted, that person, the arrayer who is enacting that, started showing something where these kids turn their eyelids upwards to scare other people. So he started doing that to enact this part. This Govinda was seated in the back of that assembly and he immediately indicated to him and he said, don't show like that. Show with your hands and two hands as if one hand is Shankha and one hand is Chakra. And immediately that person corrected his actions and he said, Ramanujar was surprised and without even looking back, he said, oh, I'm sure Govinda must be in this assembly. And that is how he has indicated to that person. Then they asked Govinda that how do you get all these interpretations? So he said, see, it's very clear. When the Lord is divine, he will not scare the kids with ordinary things like ordinary kids. He will scare with divine things only. So if he is normal like a kid and suddenly he takes his four-armed form and shows with Shankha Chakra and all that, won't those kids be scared? That is what I